again, everybody. Welcome back to OceanCore's Pollution Solutions, this time as science and advice. Today, I actually want to talk about something that we've talked about in a previous video and take that maybe just a step or two further. So if you guys have watched my detergent video, we talked a lot about the pods, the detergent pods, and that's the polyvinyl alcohol that's used as the plastic wrap that is supposed to be dissolvable in water and actually biodegradable. And the question was, is it biodegradable? And the answer to that question is yes, it is. However, it needs to come across certain conditions within the wastewater treatment plant in order for it to properly biodegrade. And so my question to myself was, all right, so what's the mandate for wastewater treatment plants? What is the bare minimum that they're supposed to do to our sewage waste? And does that include the process that would actually make the polyvinyl alcohol, or PVA, biodegradable from all of these laundry detergent pods, the dishwasher pods, and everything else that is now coming in a pod form? So I did a little bit of research. So on a federal level, every wastewater treatment plant has to have a primary treatment process, which basically is a filtration process. After the Clean Water Act came into the picture, so to speak, came into the picture. Then the wastewater treatment plants were also required to do a secondary wastewater treatment, which meant introducing the enzymes, bacteria, and fungi that actually need to be present in order to break down things like this PVA or the polyvinyl alcohol that our pods are wrapped in. So then I'm like, okay, well, so supposedly our wastewater treatment plants are actually supposed to enact the process that would make the pods biodegradable. So that was good, but I had two questions. Well, first, are they activated long enough for it to biodegrade completely and become totally innoxious for our ocean environment that it then gets pushed out into, or not? There really isn't a good way to answer that question. From all of the research that I've done, I found no answers to that question. So I will continue looking. The other question was, what do we do here in Hawaii? So I started looking, and I actually found something very interesting. The majority of our smaller plants, the one here in Kailua, in other places, they actually do employ the secondary treatment system. The thing that I thought was interesting was that our two biggest wastewater treatment plants, both of them over in Honolulu, that treat the majority of the sewage for the island of Oahu, which actually has the highest population, the highest number of tourists, and the highest number of sewage. The two major plants that process, and my math may be wrong here, but approximately 2/3 of the wastewater that we have to treat here on Oahu are actually grandfathered out of the secondary treatment. They've done mitigation measures like moving with their outsource point, so where they actually put the water back into the ocean, they've moved that point out further. And apparently there's some language that if you can prove, sort of, that it does not have or cause any environmental harm, then you don't have to enact the secondary treatment plants. I think the real reason, and this is just my opinion, is that the upgrades to those secondary processes were just probably a little bit too cost intensive. And so they've done everything they can not to have to do that. The only issue with that is that if a lot of people in Honolulu and in that surrounding area are using these polyvinyl alcohol pods, then the process that needs to happen to the PVA in order to make it biodegradable isn't happening here in Hawaii, which means that all of that is not being biodegraded, and all of that polyvinyl alcohol plastic is actually ending up in our oceans. And I thought, oh, I don't like that. But it is very good to know so that you know whether or not the area that you live in is someplace that you can actually use the pods with an okay conscience or not. For me, until science can prove to me beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is biodegradable, that there is no long-term health impact to either you or our ocean, then I am not willing to use that. And unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of study done on that, because once it ends up in the big wide world ocean, it's very hard to then separate from that and try and study it and try and see if what we're doing here on land is actually having an impact out in the water. So I think the important thing to understand here is that yes, they may be biodegradable, but only if they can come across the right conditions for the right amount of time in order to make sure that that biodegradation actually happens. Unfortunately, with our situation here in Hawaii, that means that the majority of it isn't happening here. Please check your wastewater treatment plants in your area, or just do the next safest thing, which is to not use pods until they can prove to me that it doesn't, or to us, that it doesn't harm our ocean. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please subscribe to OC's YouTube channel so that you don't miss the next another pollution solution, and like and share. Help OceanCore continue to grow by visiting Nara Treasures on Etsy and making a donation by way of purchase. And most importantly, whatever you learn here, share it forward, everyone. I'll see you next time.